They couldn't live with the previous sculpt. So where did that bring them? Back to him. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another toy review. My name is Chris. We do these pretty loose and, informal here. I just sort of shoot it, talk about it, examine it. That's about it. So if you don't mind something being a little less flashy and a little more, thanks for the nice little look at the toy there. Yeah, then stick around. This is my, let me see, Quicksilver, Captain America, Thor, Captain Marvel rescue set. So this is my 5th Infinity Saga figure review. This is, as of this recording, the last one that I am getting. Just for finance reasons. There's some I'd love. I'd absolutely love Odin. I'd love the Ironmonger set. I'd love Surtur. I just, I can't justify paying for them right now. If you want to help me out, Amazon wishlist link is in the description. A couple of them are in my wishlist. Of course, if you buy them, you get a shout out in the review. You're under no obligation to do that, though. Obviously, I'm not forcing you to do it. You could just wait and see whatever it is I post. But today, I'm pretty excited because this set is another one based on Endgame. We've got the big, bad 2014 Thanos from the third act of the movie. And we have got an updated version of Tony Stark in the Iron Man armour from that last film, which is, I guess, the equivalent of the Pepper Potts rescue armour figure we got in the Captain Marvel Pepper Potts 2-pack, where it was sort of just an updated and tweaked version of a previously released figure. As you can see, if I just whack that out of the way, oh, hello, and whack the camera a little bit for some reason. Back there, you've got Rescue. Let's have a little look-see. Come on, camera, what are you doing? Turn. You got Rescue there, the original release, and then over there, the updated one. Sort of different style on the armor. If you want to see a full thingy on that, I did a review, love. Go watch the review. Stop wasting your time here if you want to see the one about Rescue. But if you want to see my thoughts on this, stick around. Again, this gorgeous box. This is physically the biggest box out of the ones I've looked at so far. It's not Surtur, it's not Ironmonger, so I know they can get bigger, but this is mostly to fit in Daddy Thanos. So you can see all the accessories nicely displayed in the front, including Thanos' helicopter blade, sword, his grimace, his big old smug, smirky face, which is a great sculpt. Him fading away into nothing is the main sculpt he's gone with, and his armour is damaged from the fight, so you can nicely choose to display him either as mid-fight Thanos with the Nano Gauntlet, or, fading away Thanos, sat down looking all miserable, and a big old grrr head. Grrr. We have got one of Iron Man's blades, because his nanosuit can project all those different extensions of the weapons. We have got his projected hollow shield. We've got Iron Man himself, sporting a Tony Stark, an I am Iron Man face, an Iron Man helmet, and sort of more casual Tony Stark face. Each one comes with a separate neck, which we'll get into when we look at the figure. Spare hands for Tony, repulsor blasts for Tony, and down there, a spare hand for Thanos. I love this display. Honestly, part of me did think, considering this is the last set I know I'm getting right now, part of me did think when I got it out of the packaging that it was delivered in. Again, Kapow Toys, thank you very much. Do I take it out of the box? Or do I display it in box? Because it just looks so nice. Like, why would I take it out? It is such a beautiful display piece, as is. So for any collectors who do keep the boxes around to potentially display them in or resell later, or anyone who is just planning to get these boxed and have them mounted on your shelves or on your wall, here's proof positive that they look beautiful. So I'm going to get them open though, because otherwise this review would be very, very short indeed. I've got the usual Infinity Saga character mashup display on the side, and then on the back, 2 big descriptions alongside the Endgame poster. So, Iron Man Mark... Iron Man steps onto the battlefield against Thanos in the ultimate fight for the fate of the universe. Meanwhile, Thanos' descriptive reads, Thanos is a destructive force that will stop at nothing to achieve his goals. What I love about this is that this set came out. I love the logo scale design. That's so cool. This set came out in 2021. It's an adaptation of a film from 2019. It has revised figures in it that have been tweaked to be screen accurate compared to the previous releases, and yet still, the descriptions are very vague. Movie title on top, figures within. What are we waiting for? Let's get them open. Big Daddy Thanos, big Daddy Thanos. What? Look at this. What a great imposing figure this is already cut in. So let's take a quick peek. We have got the big old gold boots, which are apparently more screen accurate now than they were before. I have the Marvel Select version of this Thanos who has black boots. So honestly, it's got to the point where I think the next time I watch Endgame, I'm just going to have to pay close attention to his boots to see who actually got it right. But apparently these are accurate. Okay, so the sculpt is not too dissimilar to the Build-A-Figure from 2019, albeit with more accurate detail added to or replacing certain features because that one was not quite screen accurate. And most notably, of course, that one had the Infinity Gauntlet on his left arm, but all Thanos merchandise from that period did. I have a Funko in this office over my shoulder that has the Infinity Gauntlet. The reason why he had the Infinity Gauntlet in the merch was to not give away any of the plot, so that we would all see this boy with the Infinity Gauntlet and assume that, yes, this is indeed the same Thanos we spent watching as the main character of the previous movie. So I understand why a lot of the merch had the Infinity Gauntlet on, even if, of course, he never did in the film at any point. In this form, anyway, because, of course, this was the other Thanos. So we finally get an accurate left arm on one of these Thanos in the Marvel Legends wave. That does, of course, mean that we've got the Nano Gauntlet on the right arm, which he only really has for a few moments when Captain Marvel's beating the piss out of him, and then, you know, the dramatic climax of the fight. So, for those who wanted a completely accurate Thanos from this fight that you could use to represent the majority of it, you're not getting one. You're not getting one, I'm afraid, because the right arm of the Build-A-Figure would not match the left arm of this one, because this one's got more accurate black and slightly gold gauntlets, whereas the other one had like squared off armor at the shoulders and gold gauntlets. So sorry, I'm sure there'll be some custom makers out there who get a second one of these just so they can turn that left gauntlet into a right one and sculpt it. Good luck to you if you do. Taking a swig of my tea because this is a very British review. The Nano Gauntlet is on his right hand, and as you can see, comes with a clicking hand with no Infinity Stones. Spoilers for a movie that's over 2 years old at this point. He does come with the option to have Infinity Stones in it. So if you want him beating up Captain Marvel, having a fight with her in the final moments of the film, then you've got a bundled fist version, which is essentially, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but no, it's definitely not. I'm correcting myself. It's not a repaint of the Infinity Gauntlet. It is its own piece, which I can compare here, because obviously it'd be switched around right to left, but I can compare here with this Infinity Gauntlet. Yep, completely separate. That's a nice bit of detail. Okay, Articulation. He has a pivot in his ankles. It's sort of shielded by the boots, so it doesn't offer too much in the way of articulation. Double knee joints, as is standard for a lot of the male Marvel Legends figures, even in this scale. It gives him quite a bit of flexibility, actually. His knees can really bend. But do be careful. Hold on to them, not tight, but firmly as you're positioning them, because the Legends Infinity Saga figures so far have proved to be a little, not flimsy, but they feel very lightweight. So I'd be worried that anyone over-enthusiastically playing with these or displaying them would damage them. He has a swivel in the thigh, and excuse me, Thanos. His legs connect up at the crotch. The skirt is really well sculpted to kind of limits his movement. Unfortunately, doesn't have a swivel in the waist. He has the old rib crunch. Oh yeah. He has got socket joint at the shoulder, no upper arm articulation. He has the one bend elbow with the option to rotate it. His wrists have a hinge pivot in them. And his head is just... God, you can see it from the back. I'm just gonna say it. It's just on a gold peg. That's all it is. In fact, if we pop that bad boy off... Ooh! Oh, no, yeah, no, there is some neck articulation. But it's quite limited by the fact that he has a tiny head atop a very, very thick neck. Let's take a look at those heads, shall we? So here is his snap head, which sounds groovier than it is. Fading away, turning to dust. That look of absolute like resignation and devastation on his face. That one's a really, really, really nice sculpt. We have a more stoic, like him sat down on the rock waiting to fight them at the beginning of the third act. It's not really the beginning of the third act, is it? It's most of the third act. So that's a great sculpt, and again, just comparatively, the Thanos head sculpts have gotten better and better. Here he is from the 80th anniversary of Marvel, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, Thanos, Infinity War 3-pack. Like that is a great sculpt. Damn it, that is really cool. But just something about that, and they are as well, for what I can remember, compatible. Let me see. Because obviously Thanos is a very specific kind of head sculpt for a figure, so they're not making a lot of Thanoses. So the ball joint for the neck is... Yep, there he is. There's this new head on the older figure. Looks amazing. Oh, that looks great. Oh, that's so cool. I'm really happy about that. Okay, so more options for interchangeable Thanos heads then. In that case, here's another head sculpt. Oh, God. God, it's... Oh, this one's actually trying to be a bit snug. Here's a new head sculpt from this set as well. Smug Grin Thanos, which I think we've had this before. I think this was in the Children of Thanos set from Amazon, which, if the camera is kind, there he is with his scarred up arm and scarred up head. But yeah, I think we got a shit-eating grin version with that set too. So this isn't an entirely new sculpt, but it is a good one. And last but certainly not least, we have helmeted head. Look at that. Ooh, scary. This is the first helmeted head Thanos I've got in the Marvel Legends wave. I think it's fantastic. There's a lot of rage in those eyes. So, yeah. Last but certainly not least for the Mad Titan is his dual blade, covered, dripping in, oozing with details. And here's another thing that I'm confused about. This is apparently accurate, but the Marvel Select one was apparently accurate, and the Marvel Select one has one blade slightly bigger than the other. The previous Marvel Legends release didn't. It was correct. Someone frame by frame the film and tell me whether or not they're both meant to be equal sizes and flipped, or whether or not one of them is meant to be slightly smaller. All I know is I love the level of detail on it. The sort of inscribed language within the metal is beautiful. The colour of the blade gives it sort of different nice hues and tints based on where the light's shining on it. Handle's super detailed, and that'll go, of course, in his left fist. I am, even without a head, I am really, we should we put a head on him? I figure we should probably put a head on him, right? I think we should. You sit back there. You take the frame for a second, mate. I think we're dealing with a pretty swish figure overall here. He's I'm taking his hands off in case you're wondering. He's great. He's a great addition, especially if you loved Endgame and Infinity War and you want to up that collection to have a Thanos centerpiece, considering main character of Infinity War and main antagonist of Endgame. I can't get the blades in his hand. It's really stiff. His hand is really, really stiff and it's hard to get the blades in. So I'm going to have to be careful so as I don't damage him or the accessory. Oh my god, I could cut all this out, but I think it's funny. We're in, boys and girls. Jesus Christ. Yeah, if you're giving him the blade, commit to it. If you're giving him the blade, commit to it, because I nearly snapped the blade just trying to get it in his hand. So now we have... See, the Nano Gauntlet's even smaller than the Infinity Gauntlet, which makes sense, because obviously it conforms to the hand that it's being worn by. That's so cool. So we now have an Endgame Thanos ready for the final fight, or ready to melt away after the final fight. If you don't have a Thanos yet, I still think getting an Infinity War one would be my recommendation, just because I think that design is more iconic overall now to everyone. But this is a beautiful figure. He's really, really cool. Let's take a look at his nemesis. Well, the new Iron Man figure. Which one is it? It's obviously the one with the bolder paint scheme. Similar to Pepper Potts and the Rescue Armor, they've gone bolder. This is the original release from the Build-A-Figure Bro Thor wave. And I love this figure. I do. This is a sort of maybe joint with Mark 42 from Iron Man 3. This is my favourite armour for Iron Man across all the films. I love it. And I think part of that is just down to the fact that it's his last appearance, so they go, do you know what? Let's just put on the armour from the comics. And I kind of admire it. Like, classic armour colour scheme. Why not? And I love this figure. It's great. But what we get with the reissue is much bolder arc reactor light and eyes on the helmet. We get a richer kind of gold and red paint scheme. There are differences, which again, supposedly screen accurate compared to the previous one. Like, the dark parts of the armour are closer to black than they are to silver. We have red markings on top of the shoulder that weren't present in the original sculpt. We have got sort of tighter lines on the back, complete with the darker lines filled in. Same with the legs. There are black replacing silver parts to the army. Which just give it a bolder look. I think this one gives it a more... how to put this? This one looks more like it belongs in a movie. Like, this one looks more like a CGI creation that's in the film. You know, from all those effect shots, it's because of the I think it's because of the softer colours and everything. Whereas this kind of looks more like the new one is. How do I put it? I think overall I prefer the paint of the old one, but the new one is bolder. Like, this guy's going to stand out more in a display than that guy, whereas that guy I think looks more accurate. But maybe that's because the other guy is similar to how the previous Iron Man armors have been painted in the Marvel Legends figure waves. So this is just something I'm not used to. Doesn't mean I don't like this. I like it a lot. It's the same figure as this one that I really, really like, so why would I not like it? But if you had to ask my preference, I think the softer coloured one is more of a fave for me. Let's take a little look at the Articulation. He has got the little on his ankle. Be very, very careful with it though, and it does turn ever so slightly. No articulation at the top of the calf. He has a double knee joint, swivel at the thigh, and moves at the crotch. No waist articulation, but he crunches like a good one. Shoulder goes out and spins, again a bit stiff. Upper arm has articulation. he has double joints at the elbow, no separate wrist articulation, but the wrists themselves do swivel and can pivot based on which hands you're using. His neck is on a wibbly ball joint, fun boy, fun times. But what makes him different from the previous one, there's a couple paint flecks which I'm not too happy about. Like the blue on his right is a little bolder than the blue on his left. And also he's got some paint scratches or reveals of the gold, maybe splashes on his chest. That's a bit of a shame. But, you know, Marvel, no prize attempt. It's nano by armor, so sometimes the nanobots don't get the colour scheme quite right, so clearly some of the ones who belong on his arm have landed on his chest. There, that'd get me a no prize. His head comes off, but not just like at the ball joint at the top. If you give the whole thing a little wiggle, oh, his neck comes off too. Because you can replace it. You can replace it with a Tony Stark head. Because of course, it being the nanobite armor, it's not just a helmet popping off, it peels away to reveal his head under the neck. Under the neck? His head and neck is what I'm getting at. So there's a lot to talk about in this review. So we have a Robert Downey Jr. sculpt. I have not managed to get a hold of a decent Tony Stark sculpt in the MCU figure line yet. The only Tony Stark head that I had was one from the Civil War Captain America Spider-Man 3-pack, which, as those of you who collected these figures know, was during that period where, for some reason, they weren't bothering with likeness for half of these guys. Or maybe they didn't have the rights for it, because Cap never quite looked like Chris Evans at all. He looked like sort of comic book Captain America, which is fine, because it meant you had heads for comic book Captain America figures. And Tony was either incredibly poorly sculpted or was just vague comic book style Tony Stark instead of Robert Downey Jr. Now we have got, my God, a flipping excellent Robert Downey Jr. likeness. That is amazing. I am so happy with that. He looks so good. Like everything about it. Details on the hair, the layering of it. There's a tiny bit, not a lot, but there's a very tiny little lighter wash here to suggest the salt and pepper parts. The beard's brilliantly done. The paint on the eyes is phenomenal. Just, it's Tony Stark, guys. We have a Tony Stark. There he is. There he flipping is. We also have him twice, because they give you an extra human skin neck, which, considering you can pop these off the ball joint if you're very careful, I'm surprised they did it, but I guess it's for ease. We have got an extra Tony Stark sculpt of him pained, bruised, hair still immaculate for some reason, lips parted ever so slightly. I'm not sure if they've nailed the accuracy of the way his mouth moves there. I think they've just sort of gone, we'll open his mouth, it'll be fine. But it's for one specific moment. It's so you can have him on his knees, this head sculpt on, this right hand plugged in. Oi, thank you. And have him uttering the iconic final line of the character from Endgame. And I am Iron Man. Tony comes with issues. You know, just mentally he's dealing with a lot, but also fists for some punchy times. He comes with the snappy hand. The hands I currently have in him are repulsor ray friendly hands, which have little sockets in the palm for you to place the repulsor beams into them, and they favour being tilted upwards. So there you go. He also comes with one grabby hand, which is ideal for the, I'm just going to snap it into place now, which is ideal for the, here we go, bladed weapon that he uses, which has got nice translucent blue bits, sort of to, I like the fact they've chosen to do that, because it really does like show off that it's more sort of repulsor ray energy, and the nanobots doing the attacks. Get out of the way, you're pulling focus. So that's very nice, the way the light shines through them. So you can have that in his left hand. Good detail on there. Simple, but does the job. You also have... oh no! A hollow shield, which is just a translucent blue version of the physical one that came in the Spider-Man, Iron Man, Infinity War 2-pack. But again, you've got light goes through it, or would do if it was obeying the laws. There we go. Looks good. And it's got a little clicker at the back like that shield did, so you can just click it to his wrist. Be very gentle so as not to wear out the plastic on either his wrist or the shield. These things only last if you take care of them. Remember to tell that to your kids who love their toys and want to keep playing with those toys forever, that you need to really look after them, kids. So yeah, you can have that on his arm. Overall, really happy with this. I think this is a phenomenal figure. And, you know, my only issues with it, of course, being I prefer the colour scheme of the original, and I can't really just swap the head and it look right, because you need his neck visible. But the accessories are compatible with both, so if I want him in the thick of the fight, I could just have that guy taking over the fight, and then this Tony in more of a sacrificial display. Speaking of which, shall we? My God, it's like Robert Downey Jr. is actually in my office, and very small. Sir, you don't live here. What are you doing? What are you doing here? That's nuts. Look at that. There he is. There he flipping is. It's that moment. Like, amazing. Oh my God, that does look cool. I think that's inevitably how he's going to be displayed. So the Iron Man and Thanos Endgame Infinity Saga 2-pack. I'm going to leave a little blank space on that side for video slides, so don't be annoyed by the framing. What do you think? Would you buy it yourself? Would you want it? I recommend it overall. I really do, especially if you're a fan of Avengers Endgame. If you'd like to help fuel future reviews, down below in the description is a link to my Amazon wishlist. If you buy a toy, you get a shout out and massively help the channel. You can also help the channel by not doing that if you really don't want to, obviously, no obligation. You could just like the video. Thank you very much for watching. I will catch you all again very soon.